Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to my channel, Eurovision Histories. It is the 1st of April and I am trying to update my prediction on who the winner of Eurovision 2024 will be around every 4 weeks, so it's time to make another prediction. And in this video I will let you know who I think are the 7 possible winners of Eurovision. 7 is a huge number. By this point last year we kind of knew that either Loreen or Kerrier were going to win. And this is just an open year and a lot of different scenarios might happen, and I'm going to talk about that. If you are interested in my personal opinion, because this is a prediction, not my personal opinion, you can watch my top 37 video. And I already talked about who I think will do well in the televote, who will do well in the jury vote. And this video is kind of combining that. So if you're interested in that, you can also check those videos out. A quick disclaimer, I am not Nostradamus, I am no expert. This is just me talking about what I think might happen from my experience watching Eurovision. So don't take it too seriously, please. Now, as this is such an open year, I think it makes sense to talk about the different scenarios that might happen. Of course, we can have a winner that is kind of a unity winner that wins the televote and the jury vote, or we can have a winner like the last couple of years that wins one of them, but not both of them, like Loreen won the jury vote and Måneskin won the televote, but neither of them won the other vote as well. There were other songs that were better. And I wanted to look at some scenarios that might happen in a very open year like we have this year. And for that, I wanted to go to 2019, because if you've been with this channel for a while, you know that I call this doing a Duncan. And I wanted to explain to you what that is or what that means to me. So in 2019, this was the result of the jury vote. The winner was Tamara Todevska. The second place was John Lundvik. And in third place, we had Duncan Lawrence. And as you can see, there were only 10 points in the jury vote between Tamara Todevska and Duncan Lawrence. So he didn't lose the jury vote by a wide margin. And then when we look at the televote, same thing. Of course, Kano won the televote and Duncan Lawrence came second. But there is only about 30 points between him and Kano. Zuschauer is the televote. This is from the German Wikipedia, because they have a nice setup for this. And so Duncan won because he came third in the jury vote, but there wasn't a big margin with the other two above him. And he came second in the televote, and so was kind of a compromise winner. But you can also see that the margins with the first place in both votes wasn't as big, and that is why he managed to win. We can also, I could call it doing a Jamala as well. Jamala won in 2016. Even though she lost the televote to Sergei Lazarev by about 30 points, as you can see there. And she also lost the jury vote to Dami Im with a giant amount, 120 points. But as Dami Im's televote total was much lower than Jamala's, Jamala in the end won Eurovision. So this is what I call doing a Duncan, being good in both votes, but not winning either of them. And as I said, in an open year like this year, that might actually happen. And then I also wanted to look at last year. Obviously, we know that Loreen won because of the jury and Kerrier won the televote. But what I really wanted to look at is, imagine there was no Loreen last year. It was an open year like we have this year, no giant favorite with 40% winning chance in the odds. And you can see, I mean, I know the points that Sweden got would have been redistributed and everything would have been different, but you can see that Kerrier got 376 televote points, which is a giant total. And you can see that Noa Kirel, who came third, had a total of 362 points, and Marco Mengoni was right behind her, had, I think, 359 points. And so you can see that Kerrier would have won with 0 jury votes, and just the televote would have been enough. And this is another scenario where someone is so far ahead in one of the votes that it's just enough no matter how many other votes they get. So Kerrier could have been last with the juries and might still have won in an open year like we have this year without a Loreen. So having all of that in mind, here is the first country that I think has a chance of winning Eurovision. I was a little bit unsure about including this one. Why is that? I think this will have a bit of trouble with the televote because Mustii and Before the Party's Over takes its time to build, takes its time to get to that climax that is the main attraction, so to speak, of the song. And this might not convince the televoters to pick up the phone. It might also not stay in their heads until they start voting, even though people start voting at the very beginning of the final. I don't think that will have that much of an impact. And the thing is, I saw the pre-party in Madrid, and you saw that people really, and they know the song already. They needed their time to get into it. He told them, come with me, Madrid, basically, it's going to get better in a way. And that kind of made me think that maybe this will struggle a bit with the televote because it takes such a long time. And also, if I remember my first reaction to the song, I wasn't convinced. Now I love it, but it needed its time. And we have to remember that a lot of the people watching, especially the final, will be casual viewers and not us crazy fans talking about this competition all year round. Why did I include it anyway? I think this could get a lot of jury votes. We don't have a lot of ballots this year, and some of them might actually struggle to qualify, like Portugal, maybe Serbia even, maybe Latvia. And so this is an English ballot with an interesting structure, and I'm sure with a great vocal performance. And so I think that this could win the jury vote with quite a big margin, and then not having enough televotes might be not as important. I don't think it's very likely. As I said, I kind of struggled whether to include it or not, but I do think that there's a path for Belgium this year. Next up, completely the opposite in a way, and this is why I included the comparison Kyrie, Noah Kirel, and Marco Mengoni last year, because I think we have to be realistic. Joost Klein and Europapa will not get a lot of jury votes. I think it could be lower top 10 in the juries. And I mean, if we predict a song to win, it means that it hits something with the European audiences. And if it hits something in the televoters, it can also convince some of the juries. So I don't think you win Eurovision by completely being inaccessible to the juries. However, I don't see Europapa being the song. It's in a national language. It's out there. It's crazy. The staging will be crazy. This will be very televote friendly. But this is the kind of song that the juries usually don't really go for. And so I think this could be in the lower top 10. Like the scenario for this to win would be it's in the lower top 10 in the jury vote. And then it gets a Carrier style televote blowout, basically, that kind of makes it not as important where it ends up in the jury vote. And I do think that this might happen. He is a great performer. This will be an impressive staging. This song is already charting in several countries and is a big hit in the Netherlands. And we shouldn't underestimate how motivating that is to Dutch people all around Europe who live in these countries, in Spain, for example, or in Germany, to pick up the phone and vote for this because they want this song to do well. I think this effect we had with Lena in 2010, when Spain, for example, gave Germany 12 points, which might have been a few of the Germans living on Mallorca, for example. So the scenario for this one to win would be a blowout televote win and not that bad jury vote. And so I do see a pathway for Joost Klein to win. Then I have Slimane and Mon Amour. This is a bit similar to Mustii. However, I am more convinced that this is a possible contender. I've been saying that for a long time. Why? I am thinking of Marco Mengoni last year, who was 11th in the odds at this point, and he came 4th because it is a very professional performance, perfect vocals. He knows what he's doing. He has a lot of stage presence, and that's why he came 4th last year. And everything I just said is true for Slimane as well. The song, like Due Vite, I love and is beautiful. I understand that some people say it's quite generic as a ballad, but sometimes it just works, and something simple and well-made can convince a lot of people. And then I also think of Voila in 2021, which was up against Måneskin and still managed to come second in the televote. So it's not said that a ballad in French cannot convince a lot of people. And the fact that he sings with such emotion and can draw people in, and he has all of this experience, I think could mean that he does well in the televote. And maybe, I mean, if he will win, we have to assume that he wins the jury vote and then gets a healthy televote. And the other televote-friendly songs just cannibalize each other in a way and don't get as many points to overtake Slimane's lead in the jury vote. That is the scenario I see for this one. I mean, I would be very happy if this happened, but we shall see. It's not the most likely winner at the moment, I think. Please do subscribe to this channel. I know that only about a third of you watching this video are actually subscribed, and so you might miss all of the fun stuff coming up. I can't wait to spend the rest of the season with all of you. I love reading your comments, so do subscribe if you don't want to miss any more videos. Now, next up, we have Baby Lasagna Rim Tim Tagi Dim. Why is this above Joost Klein in my prediction for possible winners? I think that the song itself is more of a jury, not jury friendly, but it is a song that juries can go with, I think. It is not too out there. It is in English. It has an interesting message. It has a structure that is stomachable for the juries, which I'm not sure about when we talk about Europapa, for example. And so I think he might do something that Måneskin did, that Kalush Orchestra did, and come around fourth in the jury votes. And then if the performance is 100%, if the vocal performance is good, he really has to give a really, really good vocal performance, though, to be able to come fourth or third or something like that with the juries. We have seen the Madrid performance, which was much better vocally, and I think he can improve even more. And so I do believe that it's possible that he gets enough jury votes to win in the end, because this is a very televote-friendly performance, obviously. You have the message of the song, which a lot of people in Eastern Europe or people that have emigrated to Western Europe, and also many people in Western Europe, will be able to relate to this feeling of I had to leave my home and now I live somewhere else and I have to kind of make peace with the fact that my presence fades to black in the place where I come from. I think a lot of people will connect to that. Then the music obviously makes you want to dance. It makes you smile. It is a very catchy song that people will remember. The performance, they will improve, I'm 100% sure. And it is also a very visually catchy performance. People will look up from their phones after seeing 25 songs or something and will notice this one and will remember the guy. He's also very charismatic, I think. And if the commentators talk about the story of this fairy tale story almost, like he wasn't even invited to the national final, only got into the national final because another song withdrew. This will be his third big performance after the first two performances in the Croatian national final, were his first two live performances ever. And I think this might also be something that convinces people to vote for a song more than for another. And so I see the pathway for Baby Lasagna is doing pretty well in the jury vote, being lower top 5 in the jury vote, and then winning the televote with a healthy margin over Joost Klein and the others. And then we might be going to Croatia, which might help to bring some countries in the region back who have withdrawn in recent years, unfortunately, because it will also be a bit cheaper than going to Switzerland or Sweden, for example. Next up, I have Nemo and The Code, the third most likely to win Eurovision. This might be a bit surprising to people because the talk of town right now is that this is the big favorite to win. Nemo gave amazing performances in Madrid and also on Swiss live TV, and the odds have really changed in Switzerland's favor. They were equal to Croatia. I think they might have overtaken Croatia by the time you watch this video. And so Nemo will then be the favorite to win Eurovision 2024. I do think that Switzerland has a lot of arguments on its side that it might be the eventual winner. Why is that? I think this is a song that can convince a lot of jury members because of the vocal acrobatics and the impressive vocal performance that Nemo gives, and also because the composition of the song is just interesting, engaging. It is very professionally done. The sound mixing is very good, and we can also expect a very slick staging from Switzerland. They will have the budget to put on a good show for this. And so I think this is the kind of thing that jury members go for. It's also a song that is catchy and that might be a bit of a hit. Maybe going into Eurovision week, it might already chart in some countries, which might convince a few jury members as well. And then on the other side, we have the televote. And this is just an out there performance with a lot of stuff happening. There are so many different parts to the song that keep you engaged, that keep you watching, and that make you look up as well. This the operatic part will make you look up, and will you remember this? And so I think this could get a healthy televote as well. It might do a Duncan in a way, not winning the jury vote because maybe Mustii or Slimane will win that, not winning the televote because Joost Klein or Baby Lasagna might win that, but then it might have enough in the end when you combine the two to win. I do think that this could win the jury vote though, so lots of different scenarios for this one, which is why it is my number 3 at the moment. However, and that's why it's only number 3, I can also see a scenario where people are just overwhelmed by everything that is going on, that it's just a bit too much, especially for a first listener, because that was my first reaction, to be honest, to the song. Now I love it, and I really grew to love it, but people might need more time to get into it. And as I've said, most people watching the final are casual viewers, so that might also be a scenario. And the next song I have is Angelina Mango La Noia, the second most likely for me to be the winner of Eurovision. And what I just said about Switzerland and Nemo is also true for Angelina Mango. And my reasoning is that in a year that is so open, where there are so many different possible winners, I think it might not be enough to win either the jury vote or the televote. You have to be a song that does well enough in both. I think we might have a compromise winner this year. And Nemo has a lot of the aspects that you need to do well in both, but Angelina Mango also has that. For the juries, I think the composition of the song is interesting. It is in Italian. The juries don't really like national languages, but they are fine with Italian in recent years, which is something that is nice to see, and I hope they expand a bit to other languages as well. And then the vocal performance that she gives is just very good every single time, even though she moves around a lot. Juries also like that. It is a Sanremo winner, which is always a plus, I think, because it has already proven also in Italy that juries like this kind of song. She won Sanremo because of the juries, not so much because of the televote who wanted Geolier, the rapper from Napoli. And then for the televote, the performance is just so fresh and youthful and spontaneous. And the fact that it doesn't look choreographed at all, I think will make this stand out on the night with all of these very slick and choreographed performances like Sweden, like Cyprus, and a lot of these countries will have very choreographed performances, so she will seem incredibly fresh. She's a very engaging performer. The song is catchy, and it has traditional elements as well, and elements from around Europe. It is kind of a song, I think, that can convince people from many different regions, because it kind of sounds a bit like the music they listen to. There's a bit of Balkan elements, a bit of Mediterranean elements, a Spanish guitar, there's Latin influences as well, which is very current at the moment. And so I can see her doing well in the jury vote, maybe second or third, and also doing second or third in the televote. And then she is the Duncan of 2024 and is the compromise winner. Now, my most likely country at the moment to win, I would say, is Ukraine. In a minute, I will have a few other countries that I will tell you why I don't think they are in the running at the moment. That might change because it's a very open year, and the staging and also the running order might be way more important this year than it was in recent years. So, Ukraine. This is a song, again, that could be a compromise winner. I am quite sure that this could win the jury vote, actually. It is a ballad. It does have traditional elements. It does have a rap part, and the juries don't really like experimental stuff like that. It is just a very well-composed songs, and the juries will like that, how the different parts are, you know, fused together into one song. It doesn't seem too disjointed to me. And then the televote, Ukraine is a powerhouse in the televote and could actually win the televote as well, because we've seen with Kalush Orchestra, they got a giant televote. Tworci was, I think, fourth in the televote last year, and it was a good song, but it wasn't a song that appeals to a very wide audience. And I just think that Teresa and Maria is a song that might appeal to way more people. And if we combine these two things and we have a very open year, I think it is very probable that the winner might once again be Ukraine with this song. These are the 7 possible winners I see at the moment. However, I have a few that I think might also do well. And if everything aligns for them, they might actually also win. I don't know. As I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not Nostradamus. One of them would be Greece. The main reason why I didn't include it is we have Angelina Mango in the televote that is doing a similar thing to Marina Sati, is similarly as engaging as a performer, but the song is a little bit more accessible. A lot of people say that the Greek song is very chaotic and too much to handle. I personally love it. If you watch my top 37, you will see that I love the Greek song, but I have to kind of take into consideration what other people say when I'm doing a prediction. And then for the jury vote, and that is actually the main part why I didn't include it in the possible winners, the juries don't like these kind of more chaotic songs that include a lot of different elements. They don't like the Zurna being included, I think. They prefer English songs usually, and they might already be overwhelmed by Switzerland a bit, might vote for it, and then they won't go for a song that is even more out there. Again, I love the song, but at the moment, I just think there are too many arguments against it actually winning in the end. The staging seems to be being worked on and might be really, really impressive, I think. So maybe I'll change my tune once we see the rehearsals. Then Norway, this is kind of similar to what I just said about Greece, because Ulveham, again, has a lot of traditional elements. It's in a national language. I think it is very out there and very visually and musically loud, and I don't really see 100% that the juries will go for this. If we think of Go A, they didn't vote for that song, which I think is one of the best Eurovision songs we've had in recent years. And so I can't really see them going for Gorte either. I think the televote will be better for this one. Then Sweden, you always have to include Sweden because they, of course, have Melodifestivalen, which usually sends very good songs and selects very good songs. I think this will do well in the televote because of the impressive staging. And there's also an age demographic that might go for this that we're not including in our predictions as of yet. And it could also do quite well with the juries because they like these standard middle-of-the-road mainstream pop songs. I just think there is something missing when we talk about the televote to really do better than Joost Klein or Baby Lasagna. And there's also something missing for the juries to do better than Angelina Mango, Slimane, and all the ones I've mentioned. So in the end, I didn't include it in the possible winners. Next up, we have Israel, because as I've said in every single of my videos, this is the most difficult to predict because we've never had a situation like this with everything happening around the song. It's very hard to predict. I really don't know whether the people wanting to support will outweigh the people not voting for it. It's very difficult to say. I do think now that it might do better in the televote than in the jury vote in the end, even though it's a song that musically seems to be more geared towards a good jury score. But as I've said, no expert, no Nostradamus. I think a lot of things could happen with this song. Then I also have Austria, mostly because it is so beloved by the Eurovision community. But to be honest, I mean, it's not current enough to do well in the jury vote. It might get a few televotes, but I don't really see it winning at the moment. Sorry, guys who love this song. And then I also included Armenia, mostly after seeing the Madrid performance, because it reminded me of Trenule, which of course did really, really well in 2022. Because it was surrounded by a lot of ballots, and if Jaco gets a very preferential spot in the running order, that might happen again. But again, I don't think it has enough jury support to win, and a televote might also not be enough, so that's why I didn't include it in the possible winners. This is my prediction right now on the 1st of April. Let me know what you think in the comments, but please be civil and please try, if you don't agree with what I said, try to convince me of your position, okay? Don't tell me you're wrong or you don't know anything, which might be true, but try to convince me of your position, and then maybe in my next prediction video, I take your position and say that the country you think will win will actually win. So, thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more videos like this one, and I will see you soon. I'm so excited for this season. Lots more interesting stuff is coming up, so I'll see you for my next video. See you then, and bye-bye.